Hello, welcome to a Swipe special from the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Coming up, the battle for hearts and wallets. We take a look at some of the headline makers here at the biggest mobile showcase in the world. Life in the fast lane. See what happened when I got to test a new connected car. We sit down with 18-year-old app entrepreneur Nick Delosio. And puzzling games and point-and-click adventures. We're looking at gaming apps for your smartphone in this week's review. Well, first though, what a week it's been here in Barcelona. All the movers and shakers of the tech world have been here, from government bigwigs to the social media superstars. Katie Spencer reports.
85,000 visitors came from over 200 countries to take a look at what the industry's been working on. That's record-breaking attendance figures for the show. HTC grabbed the coveted Best Smartphone Award for their flagship device, the HTC One, while British company Scene were named the UK's most innovative company for its mobile app, which can create 3D images without using a specialised camera.
Our technology is going beyond what we have at the moment in the app to capture full 3D models, and that leads to interesting opportunities around 3D printing.
There was a strong presence from China's biggest brand at this year's show. Huawei was one of the first companies to invite press to preview its latest offerings, a mid-range smartphone, a smart bracelet and 2 new tablets, which it hopes could help them take a bite out of Apple's market.
They're trying to just say, look, we can produce something that's thin, it's good, it works, just surely like it. Get over the fact that you've never heard of the brand, or probably for most people don't understand how to pronounce the brand.
Super secure smartphones were unveiled, promising increased privacy for users. Blackphone emerged from the shadows, a device which can encrypt our calls and texts. A number of big players are competing to try to lead the way when it comes to improving mobile security, coming in the wake of whistleblower Edward Snowden's revelations about phone surveillance. But is it all just playing on our paranoia?
Is it something that's really necessary? I think a lot of people wonder whether devices such as this, and I don't want to just pick on the black phone, are trying to jump on a bandwagon of people fearing that they are being monitored constantly by some big scary government or something that they don't really understand. In reality, that's very unlikely to be the case.
This year's show wasn't just about the latest tech. There were some pretty big guests of honour in town to address the industry.
There was one man in Barcelona that nobody wanted to miss, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, who didn't disappoint talking about the £11.5 billion elephant in the room, his company's purchase of WhatsApp.
It's a great fit for us. Already, almost 500 million people love using WhatsApp for messaging, and it's the most engaging app that we've ever seen exist on mobile by far.
Not to be outdone, IBM's CEO, Ginny Rometty, one of the most senior women in the tech industry, made some bold statements about mobile data collection.
We will look at data as a natural resource that powered the 21st century, just like if you think back in time, electricity was to the 18th, if you take back, or 19th, you take a look at hydrocarbons to the 20th, you will reflect back on data in that same way to the 21st century.
The so-called Internet of Things was taken to a new level, from interactive homes to connected clothing. The concept of wearable tech put to the test by a team of professional basketball players. The microsensors woven into the fibres of their vests, offering an intimate insight into how their bodies performed. We saw several new smartwatches and fitness products unveiled at the show, but is it just a gimmick?
Anywhere from like 75 to 80% of any given model can end up in a drawer within a month or two. So it's a real challenge to get that experience in a way that becomes a true habit for consumers on a day-to-day basis.
While it's hard to predict the future of phones, it is a market that's rapidly changing. We'll find out in the coming years if wearables are just a fad or if this is the start of things to come, changing how we make calls and heralding the end of the handset. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
Coming up, he's only 18, but he wants to change our newsreading habits. We meet the young British app entrepreneur Nick Delosio. But first, we're all used to taking our phones with us when we travel. Coming soon, though, the fully connected car. Data, traffic information, even ultra-high definition television for the kids to enjoy in the back. It's all just around the corner. So we're in a suitably environmentally friendly connected car. Tell us about it, Ron.
So we're in the Tesla S here in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress, and Telefonica have partnered with Tesla just to demonstrate how connectivity can enhance the experience for the driver. So because this is a connected car, the driver can get Google Maps, can get information around the performance of the car, but also can have the assurance of if there's an issue with the car, he can understand what's gone wrong, and he can contact breakdown services and be able to tell them already what service he will need in order to make sure that when they come out they can fix the car first time.
But we've kind of got that with a mobile phone, haven't you? What does this equipment bring to the party?
So this is a more integrated experience. It has a significant infotainment capability. As you can see, the quality of maps and the readout information, but it also provides browsing experience and the full connectivity that sometimes when you're driving just simply wouldn't be appropriate.
Risks of distraction, I would have thought. I mean, if we're basically web browsing here, as I see there's an option to do, you wouldn't want to do that while you're driving, would you? Or tempt people to try and do that while they're driving?
No, indeed, and as you say, same would apply to a mobile phone. What this is affording the driver to have all of those services available in the car. So when they're parked up, you know, deciding where they want to go, checking where the supercharging connection points are, having all of that information to their hand.
And final thought, this screen, have you put this in this car for the demonstration here, Ronan, or is this actually in the Tesla anyway?
So this is the original car design, so it has this as a standard feature.
But you wouldn't get that in most cars, would you?
No, that's very true. I think there are some people who have smaller TVs at home.
Thank you very much. Coming up, Apple tries to fix its security glitch. But first, we all love a British success story here on Swipe, and none comes bigger than British teen Nick Delosio. It was he who sold his news summary app Sumly to Yahoo, reportedly in a multi-million-pound deal. He hasn't even done his A-levels. He's only 18. Well, he was not studying this week either. He was here in Barcelona, and we managed to catch up with him.
It's almost been a year now, actually, since the acquisition, so I'm very proud today to be getting this news product out in the UK. It's a direct evolution of what we were doing at Sumly, and I've been very fortunate in the sense that even within Yahoo, I've had the autonomy to kind of work on this product and to come up with great ideas and collaborate with the other people inside the company. You probably find reading a newspaper quite hard. The way we see this product is actually very unique and almost antithetical to what's existed in the past. There's a lot of news apps today that focus on aggregation. They boast of having thousands of sources, of personalizing the content for you. And we've actually gone for a very traditional paradigm. So, like with the newspaper, if you read it, you get a comprehensive summary of all the day's top stories. We've taken that notion a step further because with Yahoo News Digest, twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, you get a definitive summary of all the need-to-know news that you should read to be informed. And what's interesting is that summary is not personalized. It's going, these are the top X stories, if you read them you'll be informed. But what's really nice is each story itself, instead of just being a headline and 1,000 words of text, which you get on all those other news apps, we actually summarize the content and break it down into these visual units, which we're calling atoms. And atoms can vary from images to videos to infographics, stock tickers, maps, and they're all interactive. So we think this medium of actually taking a summary plus these units is very optimized for the mobile phone. I wrote the original code, then it was refined by some really smart people at the Stanford Research Institute, which is where the mouse and Siri came out of. And Yahoo acquired the company, and now we have a whole team at Yahoo from the labs team who are helping to build this algorithm. But I think what's really nice to see is philosophically the ideas that we had all the way back in day one and at Sumly are still very much the reason why we're doing this product. I'm enjoying my time at Yahoo, but I do have A-levels in like 2 or 3 months. For the last year I've been juggling between school and Yahoo, so it's been going well. A lot of traveling, but other than that I'm kind of finding both are very much complementary to each other. So the money's all been put to trust, and it hasn't, as far as I've been aware, the last 12 months affected me at all. I mean, I've kind of been more enthralled to continue the passion for apps, kind of keep my focus there. But at the same time, I'm only 18, so I've kind of just kept all the money away.
Coming up, the tiny puzzle that you might struggle to put down. But this week hasn't all been about Barcelona. Back in London, Philippa's been checking out the tech stories that you might have missed over the last few days.
Millions of iPhone, iPad and iPod users could be targeted by cybercriminals. Apple's urging users to update their software so they can fix the glitch. It affects things you'd usually expect to be very secure, like online banking and shopping. But because security certificates weren't checked, criminals were able to hack in and harvest personal details. A new wheelchair that uses mountain bike technology could make off-road terrain easier to handle for disabled people. The Mountain Trike uses levers, hydraulic disc brakes and adjustable suspension to cope with uneven ground. The Trike's designer says it can handle rocky tracks as well as sand and snow.
I race downhill in the Welsh National Downhill Mountain Bike Championships, and in doing those races I do sometimes see people get hurt, and that's what got me thinking about what wheelchairs were around, and there didn't seem to be an all-terrain wheelchair that was off-road capable but also practical, that could fit into a person's lifestyle and help them go out into the countryside in the same way I do on my bike.
A woman in San Francisco has allegedly been attacked for wearing Google Glass. Sarah Slocum was in a bar explaining how the gadget worked when two women confronted her. A man then tore the glass off her face and her wallet and smartphone was stolen. According to reports, one of the attacker's friends accused Slocum of destroying the city. There was another twist in the console wars this week as Microsoft slashed the price of their Xbox One. It's dropped from £429 to just under £400. And if that's not enough to get you to the till, they're even throwing in a copy of Titanfall. But the Xbox One's big rival, the PlayStation 4, is still cheaper at £349, and so far they're ahead in the sales stakes. We're used to hearing about flying drones and driverless cars, but a drone ship is a new one. Rolls-Royce Holdings is working on an unmanned cargo ship that can be remotely controlled. They'll have to get past a raft of regulation first, but the firm thinks the technology could make shipping safer, cleaner and cheaper.
Thanks, Philippa. Well, here in Barcelona, it's fair to say that most of us are glued to our phones. And gaming apps can provide a brief respite of entertainment in that break before the next appointment, or in the famously long taxi queue leaving the centre each evening. We asked games journalist Guy Cocker to review some of the best.
Alice Infinity is a remake of a big game that was released early on in the iPhone's life cycle. So in 2009, it seems fairly recent, but only 4 years ago, multi-touch interfaces were still relatively new, and the original Alice was the first one to implement it. So Alice Infinity brings a classic game bang up to date. It was never updated to work with iPads and to work with the new sort of widescreen format iPhones. And it's a complicated game of sort of interplanetary keeping dishes in the air, if that's even a term. But anyway, you have to control these planets that sort of spawn into this black space, and then you have to get them into black holes, and basically you can split the planets apart, you can move them around. The idea is not to make the planets not collide, otherwise you start losing your life bar. It seems relatively simple at first, but it becomes really complicated and really challenging only a few levels in. That's the only caveat against it, is that it becomes really, really challenging. Aquani is a really interesting game in as much as it fits into that genre of iPhone games like Year Walk and Sword and Sorcery, which are really abstract, really out there, and they're kind of the most experimental video games available at the moment. They're way more experimental than the stuff that's being released on PlayStation and Xbox, and I think that's really, really good. The problem with it is that it borders on being so abstract and so difficult, and so it just exists in its own little world. It doesn't tell you anything about what you need to do. Basically, you play as different animals, and you have to solve puzzles and wander around these spaces. And sometimes you'll be backtracking through them, and it's very frustrating because you've no idea really what you're supposed to be doing until maybe 20 minutes in, when it finally clicks. But the real hook of this game is it's absolutely beautifully designed. These hand-drawn characters and backgrounds are absolutely beautiful, especially if you're playing them on the latest generation of smartphones with high-resolution screens. Tengami is a really big release for the Apple iPhone. It's been really heavily promoted on the Apple App Store at the moment by Apple themselves, and you can tell why. It's for the iPad, and it's absolutely beautifully presented. It's like a storybook, so it's perfect for the iPad. The idea of it is that it's kind of like those pop-up books that you used to get and you still get, but it tells a story of this sort of like Japanese style picture book, and you actually manipulate the world in the same way as you would a physical pop-up book. You pull things apart, you turn pages to sort of change the perspective of what you're seeing, and in that respect it's absolutely beautifully done. The problem with it is that it's not that challenging. It's as a game, it's almost not a game really. It's more of an interactive storybook, so it's not really that challenging, which is something I have a problem with as a gamer. It's also very short, which in itself is not that bad. I mean, it's £2.99, and a lot of games on iPhone cost that much, but it only lasts about 2 hours. And there's a lot of backtracking, and your character moves very slowly, so those 2 hours occasionally a little bit frustrating. You want it to get going and move a little bit faster, but another one of those beautifully produced games that are coming out on iPad, and a great demonstration of the platform. Threes is the game that I've been playing till 2 AM in bed. It's been keeping me up all week reviewing it for Sky, but it's a good thing. It's a very, very addictive, simple puzzle game that, I mean, I've only been playing it for a week, but I would say it's as good as something like Tetris. It's really, really, really good. So the idea is that you have this puzzle board of 12 spaces, and you have to combine multiples of 3. So if you see 2 3s together, you push them together, and they combine to create 6, and then you combine the 6s and 12s and 24s and 48 until you have really high scores on the board. And the caveat is that every time you make a move, a new puzzle piece comes onto the board. So it's this idea of always looking for opportunities to combine numbers while juggling the new numbers that come in. And it's genuinely one of the most addictive puzzle games I've played in a while. It's within that ecospace of the Apple Store, where it's £1.99 seems like quite a lot for a simple idea, but it's really, really addictive and really, really fun.
Well, that's about it from the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. I'll leave you, though, with this concept to take an app even into the bathroom. This new electronic toothbrush connects by Bluetooth to this app on your phone. As you brush your teeth, it suggests where you should brush and the length of time you should brush. Now, don't forget, you can catch up with all the tech news on Sky News for iPad, on our smartphone apps, and at skynews.com. Until next time, from Barcelona, goodbye.